What's going on, YouTube? Dre knows back at it again, bringing you guys another video. So back at it, not Madden related, of course, but I felt like I needed a day or two for this to kind of sink in before I can really just give my thoughts and react to it. Obviously, for those guys who watched my prediction video, obviously you guys know that video did not age well. Biggest reason for that is because me being the homer that I am, I ended up picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. I don't know, just I felt like, everything was trending up in terms of our team finally getting healthy, defense clicking, offense, the offense was the only thing that was kind of there to be concerned about, but no, obviously we went ahead, put up a dud against the LA Rams. That was very, very tough to watch. So just for today's video, just going to be giving my thoughts, my reactions as far as what I thought about that and just kind of what the long-term outlook of this team is going to look like because, I feel like there are going to be some changes to this roster and to this team. So let's jump into it. So obviously, we came into this round, the wild card round against the Rams who, anytime that you play a divisional opponent in the wild card round, it's going to be tough just due to the fact that, you're playing someone that you're familiar with. A lot of the stuff that you're going to scheme up, your opponent's already going to have an idea as far as what your tendencies are. So, I can't imagine, especially with someone like Pete Carroll, who is a creature of habit and is very, he likes doing his own way. He's never been someone that really wants to go out and just really change his scheme. So, obviously, and probably what didn't help either is we had just played the Rams a few weeks ago before this playoff game. So, that loss was still fresh in their mind. But, overall, it's just disappointing just due to the fact that the Rams, they didn't have a quarterback out there on the field. Walford gave him a little bit of mobility, I'll say that, but he got hurt, obviously. So, in that hit with Jamal Adams, that wasn't a dirty hit. I just don't know what you expect Jamal Adams to do when both players are, going to the ground at the same time. And if anything, if you look at the replay, Jamal Adams, I think he hit him with his shoulder. It wasn't like a helmet-to-helmet thing. So, I don't know what else to tell you if you legitimately think that was a dirty play because it really wasn't. So, but speaking on that, obviously Jamal Adams, we come to find out that, he's going to need multiple surgeries. I believe it's on his labrum and then also on his fingers. So, it doesn't help that he wasn't, playing healthy, but, the fact that he was still able to, break a record, even though it's not what you would probably expect from a safety in terms of getting sacks. The fact that he was able to break that record while he wasn't healthy and he still actually ended up missing a few games, I think that just kind of speaks volumes to the type of talent that he is on this team. So, it was good, good to see him, be back on the field after a lot, it was up in the air. Let's see, where else do we start? I guess we'll address the elephant in the room, especially since I have his jersey in the background. Russell Wilson, man, it's crazy. I can't remember the last time I've seen someone who was an MVP candidate the first 5 games of the year, who was the leading MVP candidate, and all of a sudden he just took a nosedive. Basically out of the MVP race after that mark of the season. And I think where things really started to change was probably after the Cardinals game, where we lost in overtime in Arizona. I don't know what about that game happened, and I remember the turning point of that game. So I remember we were up 10, I think, in the fourth quarter, and I remember Arizona came back and scored, but they had to get the ball back. They were still down 3, and there was maybe 2 minutes left. It was basically at the point, if we got one more first down, the game was over. And Pete Carroll, I don't know what it is about him. He decided to play that play call super conservative out there and ran the ball on a 3rd and 4. And we got stuffed and we had to kick the ball back to Arizona. And then from there, you guys know how the rest of that game worked. Arizona eventually came back and won that game. So, and then after that, the very next week, we get blown out by Buffalo. We weren't healthy there. Offensive line was bad. That was just that was a really bad game. And then I don't know, after that stretch of games, it got to the point where Pete basically was trying to play super conservative, and it pretty much showed. Like, he was punting on his opponent's side of the field on 4th and 1. Like, if you're like, to me, I feel like Pete Carroll's one of those guys that he plays to do just enough to not lose as opposed to actually win the game. So I don't know, man. He's definitely on, frustrated me over this past stretch of games. I can appreciate the fact that he won a Super Bowl for the team, but when it comes to sports just in general, it's kind of one of those things where it's, what have you done for me lately? And Pete Carroll with this team hasn't really done a heck of a whole lot in the past, 6-7 years since that past Super Bowl that they won. So, and I think really where it starts is they need to get they need to develop a new philosophy on offense. If you look at teams that have won Super Bowls here recently, for example, like the Chiefs last year, like, yes, I mean, they ran the ball, but when you have a quarterback the caliber of, Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson, like, you need to use those guys. You can't expect to win and only have them pass the ball 18, 20 times a game. You're not going to win like that. So, I don't know. I feel like a lot of that just has to do with, Seattle just not developing their offensive line. And it's kind of crazy to think that this is by far the best offensive line they've had in recent memory. But still, even with that, that's still not good enough. I think that's where they really need to invest their resources in. Offensive line is so important, especially, to not have, people run after Russ. I can understand why Russ struggled a little bit too. He was definitely kind of gun shy, especially, getting pressured so much that it was causing him to overthink things. And you could tell, I mean, he was just overthinking things. He wasn't the usual Russell Wilson that you see, day in and day out, which sucks. That sucks to see. So, got to give credit where credit is due, though. LA Rams came in with a great game plan, with a great defense, and pretty much just locked us up outside of that one broken play to DK Metcalf. Man, I'm still, like I said, I'm still disappointed. I think, really, there's so much that could have happened in that game that might have like tipped the tables a little, or swayed the momentum a little bit. But at the end of the day, it just coulda, woulda, shoulda. So, like I said, shout out to the Rams. So let's go ahead. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up, as far as like who the pending free agents and stuff like that, so I can go over and discuss that as far as like the future outlook. All right, guys. So now that the season is pretty much over, it's time to really think about, what is going to be the long-term outlook of this team. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is that, this is going to be a very difficult offseason, I think, to manage. But I think whenever you have a general manager with the capabilities of John Schneider, I feel like, you're in good hands. He's shown that he wants to win. He's going to make the moves needed to put this Seahawks team in the best position to win. And I think you could speak on that just based off of the Jamal Adams trade, even though they did give up a lot. But I think, especially with at the end of the day, re-signing Jamal Adams to a long contract, that's going to pay off. And then obviously with Carlos Dunlap, bringing him in midseason paid huge dividends and helped the defense, helped the pass rush, and really made a big difference. So I'm confident, but obviously it's gonna be tough to manage. So let's take a look at our pending free agents that are coming up. Obviously, we have KJ Wright. I would love to see him back, although I'm not sure what are the chances that he comes back, unless if he wants to come back on a team-friendly deal. I think, honestly, that's one of the reasons why they brought in Jordan Brooks and they drafted him last year, is to potentially be KJ Wright's replacement. But I think, that's just kind of tough to tell really at this point. Greg Olsen, I'll be honest, I love him. He was a Miami alum. I'm a Miami alum, but I feel like that was just a waste of resources. He only played a handful of snaps and was not worth $7 million. So Greg Olsen, probably going to need to go. I wouldn't bring him back, even though Pete Carroll's trying to maybe convince him to come back, but I wouldn't. Obviously, Greg Olsen's not the same as he used to be. I'd be fine, trying to find a replacement for him, or maybe even look in the draft for a tight end in this case. So Bruce Irvin, one of my favorite players from that one draft class that included him, Bobby Wagner, Russ. Just tore his ACL though, and I think he actually had a setback and actually has to have surgery again. So I probably wouldn't look to bring him back. Quentin Dunbar, I would, just based off of the fact that he had a limited sample size, but whenever he was healthy, he actually didn't do too bad. Obviously, whenever he was hurt, he was getting exposed a little bit, especially in that Buffalo Bills game. But if he wants to come back on like another 1 year prove it deal, then I would be okay with that. Benson Mayowa played well. He didn't do too bad as far as our the edge rusher. Carlos Hyde, he actually filled in nicely during the time that that Chris Carson was out. So would love to see him back, just so we can have a backup running back, because once it got to the point that Hyde and Carson were out and we had DJ Dallas again, no shade to DJ Dallas, again another Miami alum, but he just wasn't built to handle it by himself. So that was tough. So I would love to see them bring Hyde back. Michael Iupati, you can go so far away from my field. Dude is he's been with the team, I think, the last 2 seasons, and he's always hurt, man. I don't know what it is about him. We appreciate your service. We don't need you anymore. We'll replace you. Cedric Ogbuehi, I don't even know how to say the name. You can go because you were terrible whenever Brandon Shell was hurt, so you can get out too. I know I'm probably roasting these guys. I'm just kind of in the heat of the moment because I'm thinking of some of these guys and how the performances are. I don't actually really mean that, but let's just say I don't think it'd be in their best interest for Seattle to re-sign him. Ethan Posick, who I believe he actually filled in at center, which was actually pretty nice, and found kind of his place there. So I'd be fine keeping him. Nico Thorpe. Wait, what is Nico Thorpe? I didn't even realize Nico Thorpe was on the team. I think he might have been hurt most of the year. Geno Smith. I mean, whatever, sure. Bowler, who was actually a Pro Bowler this year, which is kind of crazy, but he's more of like a special teams guy. I mean, if he wants to come back, play on special teams for the cheap, then sure. Philip Dorsett, another waste of money there. Again, even though it was only $1 million, but he didn't take any snaps at all this season. Demontre Moore at times, he actually looked decent, and then he got suspended, so that didn't help out our defense there. Demarius Randall, I didn't really notice him too much in the secondary. Bullard, again, just looking through here. Now, this is the big name right here. The one that's I'm really going to be interested to see what's going to happen. Cornerback Shaquille Griffin. Love the guy to death. I thought, at times he played well. Like, he was actually even a Pro Bowler last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. I feel like he actually regressed this season. I don't know why. He just wasn't. He was just getting exposed, man. I don't know what it was. I was very disappointed. If I were to pick a player that I was most disappointed in, it had to have been Shaquille Griffin, just because I had such high expectations for him, and I don't know, he didn't look too good. And looking back at the press conference that he had with the media, saying that he hasn't had any contact with the Seahawks as far as like a long-term deal. I mean, he wants to come back, but they haven't had any discussions with him here recently. So, I mean, for me, I would love to bring him back. Don't get me wrong, if we can get him for the right price. Now, if he's going to ask for something crazy like, 15 to 18 million, which he's not deserving of, I'll be honest, he's not. He's not the type of ball hawk that deserves that type of money. He's a nice player. I would say Shaquille Griffin is more of like a cornerback 2. I don't think he's a cornerback 1, at least as of yet. Would love to bring him back, but I'm already mentally prepared to move on from him, which kind of sucks, but we'll see. Let's see here. Lano Hill, I think he got hurt, so, I mean, I don't know. Ryan Neal, he actually stepped up pretty nicely whenever Jamal Adams was hurt. So, would love to bring him back, especially on a cheap deal. I know Shaquem Griffin is also a restricted free agent, so it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic with Shaquille Griffin plays to bring both of them back. I would love to see both of them back. It's just I don't know if that's going to be the reality. And then just looking through, seeing any other names that pop up. Oh, and then, of course, Chris Carson. I know Pete Carroll came out and said that, Chris Carson, he wants to bring him back, but apparently that's, like, not a priority. So, again, That's scary to think about because I love Chris Carson. The only knock on him is that he just can't stay healthy, man. Like especially in important stretches during the season. Like I remember last year we were right in the thick of things to get the number one seed last year. Chris Carson went down, and then pretty much our season kind of tailspinned from there. And then also even this year for that stretch where we kind of lost, where we lost to the Cardinals, lost to the Bills, um, lost to the Rams, like stuff like that. Like Chris Carson was out, so you need to if you're gonna commit to these guys, you need to make sure that they're gonna be there in these important games. So I'd love to bring back Chris Carson, but the thing is with running backs is that they are expendable. So again, very similar to the Griffin situation, is if we're able to bring back Carson on a team friendly deal, then by all means, let's go ahead and run it back and let's see what we can make happen because like the core of this team, man, like I feel like there is still something there. It's just I feel like there's just some minor tweaks that need to happen to really elevate this team. Mind you, this was a 12-win team that won a division that they're right there. They're right on the door of getting back to another Super Bowl. It's just they need to make some changes, and I think especially with Russ, he's still, to me anyways, he's still a top 5 quarterback. I don't care what you guys say. It's just obviously he just had a rough stretch down the year, but he's one of those guys that he's gonna come back motivated, come back and learn from that, and I expect probably his best season next year, and that's saying a lot because Russ, he puts up numbers, so that's what we would be looking at in this case. Let's see what else. Obviously got to sign Jamal to that long-term contract. You don't spend the resources that you did in draft capital to not re-sign Jamal Adams. Just pay the man. Like, we didn't sign Clowney last year, which was smart, in hindsight. But, I feel like Jamal Adams, he's just on another level. Now, obviously, Jamal, all I'm going to say is we just need you to catch a couple interceptions from time to time. You can't be dropping all these interceptions all the time. And I get it, you had the broken fingers, but let's just make sure we catch a few of those next season. That's all I ask. And then keep doing your thing, in the pass rush. We're good there. And what's disappointing, and this isn't going to change, but what I, at least as of now anyways, it could maybe later on down the road. I feel like, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators, I think we need some new blood out there, new voices, just because I feel like we've had this regime. We've had Brian Schottenheimer, who he's not bad. There's nothing against him. I just feel like with Shoddy is what they call him. I think our offense has already kind of peaked with him already. I don't think we're going to get any better and get any farther with him as the OC. And then Ken Norton, as much as I hated him at the beginning of the year, he shored up the defense a little bit. But again, I feel like if we can get a new voice elsewhere, that might help as well. I was hoping that we could maybe try to bring in Dan Quinn back, now that he got fired from the Falcons, but he's with the Cowboys now, so that's unfortunate. So, I guess, with Ken Norton, I have a little bit more patience with because he was able to make such a significant turnaround. But with Schottenheimer, I personally want to move on. I think with how the season ended, like, to me, that's just unacceptable. And honestly, I'm on thin ice with Pete Carroll as well. Like, yes, he hasn't had too many losing seasons since he's been in Seattle. But as I mentioned and what I referenced at the beginning of the video is that it is more of a what have you done for me now business. And Pete Carroll, yes, I'm glad he won the division, but at the end of the day, you don't suit up to win divisions. You suit up to win Super Bowls. And when you have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, you got to take advantage of that window that you guys have with him because Russ, he's not going to be around too much longer. So take advantage of him now and try to go. I know this team can win another one. It's just a matter of just putting it all together, putting the right people in place. And I have no doubt, Seahawks, they are one of the prime organizations right now in terms of, general managers, player development, especially maybe not first round development, I'll say that, but finding these gems out of nowhere in terms of like mid to late round picks and then also undrafted free agents. That definitely helps. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot that needs to be done, but I think it is doable. And yeah, that ends my TED talk there for today, boys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I do like talking about real football from time to time as opposed to just strictly Madden. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you guys want to see more of this type of content, maybe like where I react to like what the rest of the playoffs look like. As much as I don't want to because I'm disappointed that Seattle didn't make it, I don't mind doing it for you guys. If you guys want to see that, comment down below, give me some ideas. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And if you guys are looking forward to more of the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And until the next one, guys, this is Dre Knows, and we're signing out. Peace.